Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast, and we got a great guest, Lynn E. Kitchen. You're going to want to look this gal up. She is a very, very intelligent woman. We're going to talk about, and I'm going to title this one Even More Still. And the reason I wanted to title it that is we're going to talk about the number one source of stress for people, which is money. We're going to talk about how you can alleviate or maybe even eliminate stress around money. And it's not only just about the belief system about money, it's also about understanding the education and process of how money works. And so many of us as business owners, we tend to get stuck in the business and we're not thinking through on how we're going to leverage the capital that we're actually making, the money we're making, to actually give us more leverage and more leverage and more leverage. She's a super expert at doing this. So we're going to go talk to her in a moment. Speaking of being a super expert, if you're looking for somebody to help you get to the next level in your business, I'm putting my advisory and coaching hat back on, and I'm taking clients. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com. We'll have a conversation and see if it's the right fit. All right. Also, if you'd like to join our newsletter, ceosalesstrategies.com/newsletter. And people rave about our newsletter, so I believe you will like it. Let's go talk to Lynn right now. Let's get our number one source of stress out of our life, and we'll put some positivity into that category on and around money. Here we go. Hey, Lynn, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
I'm delighted, truly. Thank you.
All right, folks, if you've got a pen, paper, digital notepad, mental note head, whatever you're using, pay attention to this one, because we're going to talk about something that I suspect either you or definitely someone you know is running into the stress, the number one stress, which is the source of money. And we're going to talk about how you put your brain and wrap your brain around this process. And Lynn is an expert in doing this. But I'm going to go, let's go into your backstory a little, Lynn. Like you were twice, if I remember, you survived cancer, stage 4 cancer twice. Is that right?
That's right. Oh,
So, not to go into doom and gloom, but I think your story is amazing. You and I were talking, folks, I used to be in nuclear medicine, so I know some of what she was going through, dealing with it from the caretaker side. And I remember, Lynn, I was telling you this story about when I was a young guy in my 20s, a lady, she in her chart said, hey, she's got 4 to 6 months to live. And that was 12 years prior to me doing a scan, a nuclear scan on this woman looking for cancer. And at the end of the scan, she said to me, I see you've been looking at my chart. And I said, yeah. She goes, am I clear? And I said, well, I can't tell you that. You've gone through like these for 10, 12 years, right? Whatever. And she said, okay, so that means I'm clear, which she was. And then the second thing she said, you want to know why? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, don't BS me. You want to know why I'm still alive, because what's written in that chart is I only had a 4% chance to survive. And I was supposed to be gone 4 to 6 months after they wrote that. And I said, well, if you don't mind sharing. She goes, Doug, here's the thing. I'm not ready to effing die.
yeah.
I have too much to live for. And when I told you that story, you told me kind of a contrarian point of view almost. And so when you were there, what were you thinking?
Oh, thank you, Doug. I very rarely speak about this, and I am going to speak this time because there's a purpose about the stress of money, and I think that we'll tie that in. But I believe that I received the diagnosis of stage 4 cancer because of stress over money and my responsibilities as it relates to managing money professionally for other people. And all of that is a stressor, you know. So the important thing that happened to me was I decided instead of my wanting to really control or beat this thing, I chose to surrender. I chose to relax into it. I had a high faith and I just said, well, if this is my time to go and if I won't be here in the next 8 months or so, so be it. And I absolutely just gave it over to my higher power and say, hey, here I am, use me or take me. And I totally relaxed. My husband and I started to have fun instead. We watched fun movies. We went on bike rides. I started to bring fun into my life, an element that I had been missing because I was doing all of the personal stressors as it relates to money. And so I went on a different mental journey with myself and said, what would it be like if I could just have some fun here?
All
And,
right.
and let the future resolve itself.
Okay,
And
so all of you who are listening, you could turn this off right now, and there's your lesson for life, never mind the day, right? So, th- Lynn, what fascinates me about this is when we are human beings, we get into this place and we're focused myopically on, using the part of our brain. I think it's called the amygdala or whatever it's called, right?
right,
The part of our brain where it's like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right, is the fourth one. We are thinking most times in that case of scarcity around this. And what I just heard you say is you now became open, the openness, because we're in scarcity. We can't, our reasoning part of our brain, our questioning part, the creative side doesn't open up. It's just like, oh my gosh, bears running down the trail. Wow, right? Now, that may serve us at the moment, but the point is, if people are staying in that cycle over and over and over and over and over and over, it's purely been linked to health challenges and all kinds of other stuff. And I noticed this when I was in the medical field, and I noticed reading through people's charts, and they were in that type of stagnation mode of, and
sure.
you just went the opposite way, um and you started having fun. My God, what a
Right.
concept in business. Have fun. Like, how many of us got into business to like be stressed out of our minds, worrying over and over and over and over and over? And by the way, folks, when you're worrying like that, you're shooting cortisol, adrenaline, creating glutamate in your brain. All of these things are not healthy for us. So, Lynn, you went the opposite way, which is awesome. And you beat it twice.
I did. I mean, it wasn't me beating it though. That's the other part is that I was gifted another chapter in my life. And that was the realization that I had to embrace that this is a gift now, from now on. This is an extra arc, maybe a few more decades, that I get the privilege to be still alive. And as a uh, student of spirituality, not religion, but spirituality, I can appreciate the possibility that a life lived well means joy. I'm here to increase the joy factor, whether it is in sales, money. I mean, we are dealing with these human experiences all day, every day. Money, stressors are real, but they're human and they're transitory and they change and our circumstances change. But what doesn't change is the ability to appreciate being present, being alive, being part of the fabric of being on a podcast with you, Doug. This is a gift. I love waking up in the morning and feeling appreciative, grateful that I have another day of life to breathe. A lot of people did not wake up today. They did not. Maybe 400,000.
Uh, it's now those of you who know and have been listening to this podcast for a long time. I don't do this is not a woo-woo type thing that we're talking about. This is like real tangible business.
Yeah.
And what you focus on, you will attract more of. I mean, that is just the way it is. And if you're focused on, oh my God, how am I going to make my next dollar? And you're not focused on the other question, which is, what do I got to do today to make my next dollar or my next 100 or a million or whatever it is for you, daily, then your brain's going to take you in that direction. Now, Lynn, why is well, before we go there, let's give your background too, because you got a really, really strong background in money and money management. So, would you tell everybody what you were doing prior to?
Sure. I was a investment advisor. I was an executive in the investment advisory world. So I was one of the first women to own my own broker dealership back in the early 80s at a time when women were really not allowed to even become a stockbroker, let alone have your own firm. So, it was one of those, I really was like a busting through the glass ceiling kind of a girl. And it was all based on sales because money management is based on gathering assets and having the amount of money under management to have your own firm. So that's clients, that's selling, that's selling intangible services. And I excelled at that. Now, what the stress factor really that came through was the responsibility of handling other people's money
Mm.
over time. That's over a couple of decades because I took that role so seriously. Um, and, that's part of why I think I did well because I very much cared about the results that I was able to get for people and over a period of what, 3 decades in the investment advisory world, I not only built and sold that business, I entered into a second advisory company with two other wonderful gentlemen, and the three of us built a second advisory firm and sold it. So over really a 35-year period, two investment advisory firms created, built, and sold.
So,
Plus we really did teach investment advisory courses to adults at night. So it was a full agenda for sure. Now I would like to back up a little bit because Doug, I have a story. So I think that you might be interested in as it relates to how I even got into the money business.
I would love to hear the story.
Okay, I had no money, zero. You could probably relate. How many of you have been through a time in your life where you have no money, not even enough money to go buy a breakfast? And that was me. I put myself through college selling Webster's dictionaries door to door, selling advertising store to store, and selling fundraising programs school to school. So I really was like a serial sales uh, back in the time before computers and so forth. But I had absolutely no money at the end of that college career. When I looked around, how many of you can probably relate to this? You look around and you say, what is the number one thing I need more of? And the answer to that was money. So I decided to start to educate myself about money and find out if I ever did have some money, what I was going to be able to do with it.
Mm.
How can I grow it? How can I invest it? How can I do better with it? And it was all came down to sales being a better relationship builder.
That is, if you didn't write that one down, folks, write that one down. So sales is a relationship builder. So what I hear you saying, Lynn, is you didn't have money. You created it through selling, through focusing on one thing, client acquisition and customer satisfaction.
Exactly right.
And, um, you know, I think that's one of the reasons that people do have challenges around the source of money in business because they forget the basics of what they're really in business for, you know?
You're right. Now, I've looked back on my career and I could have done better. I could have been bigger. It was a smaller boutique company. Why? I focused on the relationship aspect. And, many of the challenges I think that we have today, especially with computers, is this emphasis on scaling.
Yeah.
And you can scale, but you also, things fall through the cracks. In my experience, what falls through the cracks first is that primary relationship with another human being that wants what you have to deliver, and you want to deliver it. And then there's something next, because once you deliver it, then there's something else that you can provide. And after that, something else, because there can be a lifelong relationship there rather than just doing a transaction for a million different people. Take your customers and you put your customers first, because those are longevity. I mean, a long-lived relationship is a long-lived business, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Well, I agree. And a lot of people are like, I really want recurring income. I really want recurring income. But, you know, the thing is what they don't realize is even when you have recurring income, you still have to do something for that recurring income most of the time. I mean, I was in the telecommunications business, and if we didn't pay attention to our clients when their 3-year contract was up, and we got paid for 3 years on that, which was wonderful. But when their 3-year contract was up, if we didn't stay in touch and we didn't build relationships with those people, along comes another competitor and they're off, and we don't have any more, longevity in that process. And I had clients literally with us for 17 years, just renewing with us over and over and over and over and over. And so, I'm hearing the third part here, which is, client acquisition plus customer satisfaction, relationship plus relationship building to build lifetime clients. And, as I was listening to you speak on this, I wrote this down. I'm like, well, no wonder people having their number one source of stress is money. They're not financially educated in it. Number one, we were not taught these principles in, life skills in school. I mean, not in the United States that I know of, and the second thing is they're not following the basic tenets of business: client acquisition, customer satisfaction, building lifetime relationships, and creating recurring income out of those relationships, and spawning new customers easier, right? Through referrals and things like that. And we glossed over something because I want people to catch this other thing too, which is you had a determination that you were going to, regardless of not having money, you focused on what to create money, how to create money. And you figured it out. Hey, I'm going to sell. Now, I, I'm not trying to put you in what year were you selling not encyclopedias, but Webster's dictionaries?
I was a sophomore in college, so that would have been about age 20.
Okay. So you and you're younger than I am, but we're close. And and so back then at age 20, selling door to door, there weren't a lot of gals doing that at that time. Is that a fair statement? I mean,
That is a very fair statement. Yes, that is true.
okay, so it was still the good old boys club back then on stuff like this. It was so you essentially were the Barbara Walters of breaking through sales for women. She did it in the media side of anchoring and things like that. So what everybody's probably wondering, okay, Doug, what the hell does this have to do with money, right? Like, what are you talking about? So why is money the number one source of stress, Lynn?
I think I really absolutely agree. Money is the number one source of stress because we all want even more of it.
Okay. Yeah, but I
All
mean,
want even more of it. Now, why? Because, as much as we are enjoying a very, very affluent life here in America relative to the rest of the world, let's say, the luck of the draw that we were born here. And that we have freedom of choice, that we can utilize the system that we're in, the entrepreneurial system that we really enjoy here, to use these methodologies to gain access to wealth it's an extraordinary privilege. It truly is. And we all want even more of it all the time. So, and that's part of our nature. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I say, more power to us. Let us not only desire even more wealth, even more sales, even more income, even more cash flow, that kind of ability to create um, certainty in an uncertain world. That is going to be what will give us um, strength, be able to give back to the world. We want to be great philanthropists. We have ideas. We want to make impact. We have personal, wonderful thoughts, and we want to create a legacy for our children, our children's children. There are real reasons why money is a valuable a agenda for our desires. I think it's a good thing. I don't believe that, oh, wanting more money, blah, 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 that is so bad and so stressful. Shift it to yourself. Money is like the um, liquid gold that runs in our DNA, that if we can partner with the idea of abundance, you use the word scarcity, but money doesn't have to be an ugly word. Money is part of the abundant universal world that we live in. It's not everything. We are abundant beings, period, end of story. We can create. We are generative. I think it's just a matter of appreciating, more self-appreciation of just how powerful we are as generative beings. If you love sales like I have all my life, and that's why I love Doug and what he's teaching and what he is bringing to you all, this idea that through relationship building and making your dreams come true happens by means of helping others with a product or service that is important in that moment, and then creating even more relationship and value over time. We are in a value creation world. Take a look at the stock market, which is my expertise. We see a increasing value over time. That value is who you are. You have a strategic ownership of that. Own that for yourself. Be that. And then realize just how wonderful of a system that we do live in. We're privileged.
I'm hearing two sides to this, and I would love your feedback on this, Lynn, because you're talking about really human needs. Like we as human beings have a need to grow. We have a need to contribute. We have a need to feel like we matter, right?
Right.
We have a need for certainty. You use the word certainty and uncertainty, right? Those are needs. We need it. We want to feel like the ground's under our feet, but at the same time, we want variety around that because we don't want to be bored. And it's like having the gratitude for that side. So that's really what in a sale I call kind of the personal ROI, right? It's more of like, that's
Beautiful.
my personal return on investment. And as I've told everybody over the years, there's two parts of this. There's personal return on investment, and there's business return on investment. And you've got to have both in a sale. And
Great.
that's the best. And so then what I'm hearing also on the business side is understanding the rules of money is what I think trips people up. So that educational side of how to more the business return on the investment side. I don't think people are marrying the two concepts. I think they don't educate themselves enough on the business return on investment side because they're so busy and they're doing this. And, you know, I get it. I'm the same way. But what if somebody took just an extra, or not even extra, just carved out 15 minutes of their day and studied money principles? Would that work, or do they need more? What's the how to steps to go from, okay, I don't want to be stressed anymore, to we know it's sales and acquisition most of the time in the business, or maybe they're not even in the business they want to be in, right? That could also be part of it. But I think it was Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. I heard him
Mhm.
say this one time. He goes, no matter how much money you have in your life, it will never be enough, because if you're trying to grow, you're always going to need more money.
Well, that's one opinion.
Okay, I love
I
the others.
definitely, and I think that, in many people's hearts, that is the operating standard. Um, I happen to think that everyone has a capacity for more, and I think that we human nature. You probably, those of you who are listening, don't you probably really always feel that you want even more? It's not like you don't have, but you want even more. Let's use the word even. The even more. Yes, of course. We want even more happiness. We want even more love. We want even more fun. We want even more money. We want even more of the good things that we can generate in one lifetime. And actually we want even more days of
Sure.
our life. So going back full circle to our first conversation, uh, this is normal. It's normal for us to want even more. So I believe that in understanding money better, no question, there's a education gap, and that education gap comes from, in my opinion, focusing on just your projects in the moment, or just your income generation from your entrepreneurial efforts in the moment, or in your business. Then, for the sake of what? What are we doing all this for? For the sake of what is the question that I would love you to entertain today. For the sake of what are you doing anything that you do in your business? So therefore, when you begin to ask yourself, for the sake of what are you doing anything? The answer is usually, for the sake of my well-being, for the sake of my family, for the sake of my future, for the sake of my values. What are your values? What are your financial values? So now I believe there's an opportunity for all of us to educate ourselves further on our financial values. What are those things that we hold dear? For that reason, I'm coming full circle, and I've created a financial academy, Doug. If
Mm-hmm.
any of you might be listening and are interested in taking where you are now and looking at your life as it relates to, for the sake of what am I doing all this, and tying in, how does this create new opportunities that I can see in the investment world? I believe that education is at the crux here. Because if you are abdicating your responsibility to someone else to manage your money for you for the future, you're missing out on something that's really valuable. You're receiving all of the income from the sales efforts that you're doing. You're creating income in your bank accounts. You're investing that. Now, for the sake of what? Let's take that and really educate ourselves on what's the possibility on how we can increase the value creation mode even more. Yes, why not? Even more still, even more understanding, even more education, even more opportunities. We live in a world now that is exploding with opportunities beyond our own structures of our current life. I mean, it's like a big bang. It just continues to expand and increase, and more AI, this, that, all kinds of opportunities are at our fingertips. Let's learn more about that. Let's educate ourselves about the opportunities ahead and how we can be part of that and how that can increase the value of our lives. What do you think about that, Doug?
I think it's you said something for the sake of what I wrote it down, right? And the reason I wrote that down is I've had to ask myself that question. I didn't ask it in that graceful of a way. It was more of a what the heck am I doing this for, right? That
Sure.
type of thing. But it really comes down to what I'm hearing is our relationship with money is what causes the stress of the money because we don't truthfully know what we want. And so we're going after some goals, or we don't understand what the rules of money are. And like you said, the rules of business, my rules are easy, right? Money in, money out equals something. I mean, that's business, right? It's either negative, break even, or positive. That those are my rules. And you don't have to agree with my rules, Lynn. What I'm asking is, what I'm hearing is if somebody doesn't know for the sake of what, where they're going, they don't have the education around how they're going to get there. And their mindset is set up that it's like, money doesn't grow on trees, so to speak. Well, you know what AI does, right? I mean, there's all of these new things coming out on a consistent basis that the old way of saying, there's a million ways to make $1 million, right? That type of thing. What I'm hearing is there's an abundant opening for anybody to do anything, but they've got to be able to get educated in the right things to do and have the right direction, follow their nose one step a day, and they will get there. Is that accurate or inaccurate based on what you know?
I think both and.
Oh, okay.
I really think both and. Why is because if how many of you really believe you can generate, if you had absolutely nothing and needed to start over again, how many of you believe you can generate something? You can generate an income, you can generate. And the truth is, we all are generative beings. We take a group of circumstances and our brains figure out a way to generate benefit, to generate value. That's really what sales is. In the relationship building part of that, it's the sky is our, the whole universe is our oyster. There's nothing truly that will hold us back except our belief system. So when you can have a belief system that says anything is possible, all it takes is my willingness to create to create value. We are living in a time we will not recognize the circumstances 5 years from now based upon now. How many of us, don't even see how far we've come in the last 5 years? I used a fax machine the other day and I thought, wow, that is an old instrument, you know, uh, that is so old. Well, look how fast our lives move on. Probably 5 years from now, even a cell phone will feel like a troglodyte instrument. We have the capacity to move, shift, generate. And this is what I believe is so exciting about learning more about money, educating ourselves, and looking at money as an open-ended possibility rather than a restrictive, scarce place. It's not true that when you make a sale, you're taking money away from someone else. This is not a fixed sum game. The universe is everywhere abundant. There's new opportunity everywhere, and tomorrow is filled full of possibility for you, for me. And this is why putting the fun back into um, relationship building, making sales, having the kind of business that you really love so that it helps you feel good about yourself, and then utilizing that income stream for the sake of what? For the sake of creating new um, values that you hold dear, that you can say, oh, I was able to put my children through 4 years of college at the best college, and feel like that was something that you contributed to the universe. There are reasons why money is a source, but it's a source that we can understand comes from within. It's not really out there that we have to go get. We create it, we generate all of this value, and it's unlimited. So one of the things that when we look at billionaires and trillionaires, they have an abundant mindset. They feel like I can do anything. I can generate anything with the circumstances that I see in front of me. How many of you feel that way? If you don't feel that way, there's some work to be done. I'm happy to help you, and Doug is happy to help you with these conversations. Hopefully it will help signify that there's more for you out there always.
So years ago, I read the Laws of by Napoleon, Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, right?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
And, spoiler note, Napoleon Hill didn't have a lot of money at the end of his life, from
True.
what I understand. But he did have a bunch of really good rules and laws, if you will. One of them was having a definite purpose in mind, right? And what's the sake of what I'm doing this for, in my opinion, right?
Okay, good.
And the belief system that you can actually achieve what the mind can conceive, can achieve, that type of rule. So going back to the belief system, then there's the education and process that what you teach, Lynn, and what people, when they know the education and process. And fortunately, I've known a lot of wealthy people who have gone up the ladder, fallen off the ladder's landed on them, and then they've gotten back up and they've built bigger ladders and bigger heights of things. And I think it goes back to what Henry Ford said: you could take it all away from me and I'll have it back within 2 years, because he understood the process of that. He understood the process of everything is a resource. People are a resource. Money's a resource. And we can go out and we can get these resources. I mean, I wasn't there when he was doing it, but it was said that Jeff Bezos went door to door, knocking door to door to raise money for Amazon in the beginning. Right?
Yes.
He was
Yes.
doing client acquisition, really, when it was coming down to it, right? So, and there's always a value exchange going on in the universe. And that's what I heard you say about money. You're not taking it from someone else. It's there. It's a resource that's a value exchange. And I remember back when I was in college, I had to take all these chemistry courses, which I didn't really care for. But one thing I did always stayed fixed in my mind is a atom will give up an electron to another atom, and they will keep giving these electrons up to each other. And then eventually that atom gets so full of electrons, it has to give up another atom to, not an atom, electron to make itself stable again.
Interesting.
And so I think this is a law of nature, is what I'm hearing you say with money, that we have to be able to give to other people. We have to be able to receive from other people. And what I notice with business owners or people in business in general is they think money is finite, because I think our education system did it where it's like work for an hourly wage and this is what you get at the end of the week and this is what you're going to pay to the government. You're going to have this amount of money left over. But what the entrepreneurs who have, we looked at people like yourself who have said, you know what, I'm going to create this and then I sold this for a value exchange and I gained more money. Then I did it again because I had the pathway to do it. And that goes all around that I can do this attitude in abundance. I mean, you were the first female in the United States. You were the number one door-to-door Webster's Dictionary selling representative. And I can only imagine what the boys were saying in the room about that whole thing, right? That they were being beat out by a girl at that time,
Yeah.
bruising their ego.
And it was true. And unfortunately for them, my sales manager would always rub it into their noses because I think we had 3 girls out of the 1,200 salespeople. And I was the only one who actually rose to the top of, I think I was number 3 top salesman nationwide out of 1,200 salespeople. And the sales manager would always say, and she's a girl. What's wrong with you? You should do it too. Look, she's doing it. She's a girl. It was horrible. I was like, I, you know, I had to just laugh because worked. It worked for the guys. It was kind of humiliating at the same time. But back then, this was in the early 1970s. It seemed to work. I don't think it would work today.
No, I think that's called lawsuits today.
Yeah,
When he was doing that. But, so again, to illustrate how far we've come in thought, right? So
right.
how far we can go with the thought of money. So money doesn't have to be a number one source of stress in your life, folks.
Exactly right. If we can conclude with that, or if we can summarize and really help you all take that today into your heart, that money does not have to be something of stress. It does not have to be stressful. It's your friend. Money is not something that you have to get. You already have all of the abundance. We are abundant creatures. Money is generative. We have the privilege in this society of finding ways, and there are more ways that we know not of, that absolutely are enriching. Anything that enriches others will enrich you in return. So this is an important observation and something that we can just shift our thinking, like, whoa, coming into alignment with those electrons, so that we can be flowing in the right direction. I have this philosophy, and this is in the investment world, that there's a new opportunity coming down the proverbial track every day. There's a new opportunity rising every day. There's something new being created all the time around you. Open your eyes and you will be able to see something new happening. If you don't like this one, there's another opportunity for you. As long as you remain awake and aware and ready to engage in the world, you're going to be amazed at the kinds of things that will carry you forth into enormous prosperity ahead. This is a time to be open to that possibility. Enormous. By 2050, our lives will have changed. The impact that we can have on others and be able to build for our children and their children. Now's the time. This is the time. Get excited about what you're doing. Let Doug help you. Absolutely take the top off of whatever it is, the limitations that you're thinking, and let him help you explode your sales, explode your income, explode your possibilities into the future. And for the sake of what? So that you can be happy, healthy, and terrific.
There's one thing I know, Lynn, getting older, And I just had this conversation with my daughter last night. You don't know how long you have. So what's the purpose of being stressed over things that really don't make sense in the long term?
One of the greatest people that did a study on your regrets on your deathbed.
Right.
There are 5 answers, but one of the biggest answer is, I wish I would have laughed more often. I wish I would not have taken everything so seriously. You see, I wish I would have enjoyed the journey along the way. Our circumstances are what they are.
Yeah.
You're going to have your circumstances you have today. You're going to have different ones next month, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We all have circumstances, but who we're being during those times, you get to choose.
I think we're going to end on that. That's a high note. So, Lynn, thanks so much for being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. How do people know more about you? How do they get in touch with you, et cetera?
It's been a pleasure to be here with you, Doug. Thank you for all these wonderful topics and deepening of our really conscious awareness of making money. They can get in touch with me by going to my website very easily, lynnekitchen.com. And once you're there, I have a new masterclass coming up, and you can just click on that. And if you want to scroll down just a little bit on the homepage, there are other opportunities to work with me.
Excellent. Lynn, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for bringing your AAA game. I really appreciate it. And I mean, AAA is A+++. So thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Doug.
All right. For the sake of what? I love that question. Why are you doing this? What's the truth? When you live in truth, not honesty, honesty subjective, truth objective. You can actually measure it. This is exactly what I want. When you live in that space, good things happen because clarity happens. Your messaging gets clear. You know who to prospect. You're in the client acquisition field, right? Because that's what Lynn taught you is, and that's what I preach, right? What business are you really in? You're in the client acquisition space, and you've got to be able to sell through that. So I love this definition. It's lead flow plus workflow equals cash flow. And workflow is everything around sales. So lead flow plus everything around sales equals cash flow. If you focus on that, you will sell more. And, you know, on and around your belief systems, your value exchange that you're providing, everything becomes much clearer when you're in that space of your belief system is, hey, here's where I'm focused. And this is what my value proposition is. And you can clearly convey it. You'll have way more confidence. And confidence is sexy, right? People love people who are confident, not arrogant, but confident. And because they have a problem, they have a goal they're trying to reach, and you're the opportunity for that. And this is where your sales will pick up. So until next time, you know, go out and sell something, sell a lot of it, right? Play win-win-win. That means you win, they win, someone else wins. Don't discount, sell on value, the perception of value that they want. Speaking of value, again, if you're interested in growing your business and you want somebody to help you in the advisory side or the coaching side, I'm back in the game doing that. Not that I ever left, but I'm back in the game doing that more so. So reach out to me at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com. Let me know what you're looking for. We'll have a conversation. Make sure it's a right fit. Again, win-win-win. And if it's not, I'll tell you I'm not the right guy. And here's the right resource if I know what it is. All right. If you want to join our newsletter, www.ceosalesstrategies.com/newsletter. If you love this episode or any of the episodes you listen to, please, 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 please give it a 5-star review. I would be forever grateful. Till next time, Doug C. Brown saying, to your success.